Hello, welcome to another episode of This, That, and the Other, and today it's Christmas Eve 2020. What I'm going to talk about today, I've been promising to talk about, is the difference between living in Huntsville, Alabama, and living in Northern Virginia. Where do I start? Lived in Huntsville from 1965 to 1971, and we moved overseas to Okinawa for 5 years, and came Northern Virginia in 1976. I started high school, as a matter of fact, in Vienna, Virginia, went to Madison High School. And I remember both areas have military community. Huntsville has Redstone Arsenal. This area has Fort Belvoir, Fort Myers, and those are Army bases. My dad worked for the Army in the Civil Service, so we moved around somewhat, kind of one of those, what you call those military brat kids, I guess. But differences between the two places, like I said, they both have military communities. Huntsville probably is somewhat slower paced than here. Huntsville and here both have people from other parts of the country, other parts of the world. Huntsville has a lot of German people because of the Rocket Center. They have the Space Museum, Marshall Flight Center over there. And you see a lot of Germans. You see people, Penn State graduates come to Huntsville, study. And I remember quite a few people living in Huntsville that were from Pennsylvania. Some people come from the north and get a job in Huntsville, and they stay. They like maybe the better weather conditions, maybe friendlier people. It could be a number of reasons. It is pretty. It has the mountain, Montesino Mountain. That's one thing around Northern Virginia where I don't have is any kind of mountain. You have to go a little farther south to get to see the Shenandoah Mountains, which isn't too far away. And then you also West Virginia is about an hour away, and Pennsylvania, those places to check out. Huntsville, I would say people are probably a little more laid back than they are here. People seem to always be stressed out in this area. This is very fast paced, and Huntsville and Northern Virginia both are transitional areas. Like I said, people get stationed there in the military and work in Huntsville for temporary periods of time and move somewhere else, and you see a lot of that here too. People basically don't really make as much of an effort to try to get to know you. I remember in Huntsville, people were somewhat friendlier as far as neighbors coming over to meet you, although very, very, very few did that. I remember living there and not knowing who most of the people were that lived in the houses around me, and it's like that even more so. People basically don't, for the most part, don't even make any effort. If you're new to the neighborhood, they don't make any effort to introduce themselves. I mean, I've seen a few that have in the years. I've been living in Northern Virginia since 1976, and I haven't seen too much of it. Traffic in Huntsville, of course, Huntsville is a smaller city. Here you've got the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia, and you've got the Beltway, and the circular thing, and that has a lot of traffic. You got the inner loop, that's the side next to the city, close to the city, and the outer loop's the side farther from the city. So you got a lot of morning rush hour traffic. 95 around Springfield, that's bad. Going to Maryland, you got the 270 spur going from 495 on to 270. That's another one that there's a lot of traffic, and so traffic's a lot more congested in this area compared to Huntsville. I mean, when I lived in Huntsville didn't have the expressways that it has now, so I imagine. I really haven't been in Huntsville when it's been rush hour. I've been there like holiday times, and the traffic's not that bad. Last time I was there was 2019. I was there the day before and the day of Labor Day, and traffic was somewhat not too bad, actually. From what I understand, a lot of people had left Huntsville to go vacation to other places, and we drove from here to Columbus, Georgia for my aunt and uncle's wedding anniversary, and then coming back and wanted to stop in Huntsville. So we basically stopped. We went and checked a place called Huntsville, Hanceville, where the Catholic what I don't know what you call it, the Catholic thing is, and check that out. It's part of EWTN, and then we arrived in Huntsville in the evening and went to it was on University Drive. Went to a Chinese food place, and then next day, wife wanted to go to a thrift shop on University Drive. That place everything was half off, so there was about 300 people in there. The line was very long to get checked out, but they were pretty efficient, and they got people through pretty quick, so that was a good thing. And then the next thing I asked my wife, what do you want to do next? She said, I want to go home. So drove all the way from Huntsville back to Virginia. It took 12 hours. You get to Bristol, Virginia, and it's another I think 6 or 7 hours before you get to Northern Virginia. But that was an interesting trip. Like I said, we probably weren't even in Huntsville for 24 hours. Now we were there. It was just kind of like go get there quick. We got there quickly and then left. We did on that day go to the Marshall Flight Center. We did look at that, tour around that. So we did go to one place when we were there. Trying to think of other differences and similarities between the two places. Like I said, this is a city. This is a metropolitan area. Huntsville's I'd say more of a suburban type area. I would guess. I don't really. Huntsville is it's north and it's near the Tennessee border. And it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. It's kind of a high-tech industrial city out in the middle of nowhere, from what I can understand about the place. And I'm trying to remember more differences and similarities and between the two. Weather-wise, okay, Huntsville is definitely hotter than this area. 2008 we arrived in Huntsville in late around close to Memorial Day, and it was very hot. Northern Virginia was still getting cold at night. We got back 2 weeks later. It was very hot. It got very hot here, but weather's hotter. That's for sure. The winters aren't as cold. Huntsville doesn't get as much snow as this area gets, although this area has not really been getting much snow in the past couple of years. 2006 we got a really big snowstorm in January, but before that in December it was in the 70s. Christmas Day was in the 70s. I remember I was being Santa Claus with the kids in Washington D.C. and weather-wise, it's definitely this area is a little bit cooler. It's like I said, 40 years ago the winters were colder and there was more snow. This is a big football area. People are big on the Washington Redskins. Well, what you call now the Washington football team. Redskins name no longer exists. And Huntsville, people are more into college football. They're not really into any pro football team. They're either a University of Alabama or an Auburn fan, one of the two football teams. And you might have a few mixed in that have moved to Huntsville from Tennessee, maybe Tennessee Volunteer fans as well. This area, Huntsville really doesn't have any major sports. I think it's had like hockey team before. And this area's got all four things: the baseball, the football, the basketball. The Washington Wizards aren't very good, and the Capitals, which have won the Stanley Cup a couple of years ago, they're interesting to watch. And I believe Huntsville had a hockey team for a while. They may still have one. I know they've had semi-pro teams. They've had the Hawks in the Continental Football League back in the 1960s, and they've had the team called Huntsville Rockets. I don't know what league that was in, but I've actually seen ads in this area trying to get people to move to Huntsville. Definitely, okay, here's a big difference between Huntsville and here is cost of living is a lot less than what it is over here. I don't know the exact numbers, but I was looking at prices of houses and the sizes and everything. It's much more expensive over here. The closer you get to Washington D.C., McLean, that's a suburb of Washington D.C. That's where the well-to-do people live. You could buy a house, an old house built in the 1940s, maybe 2-bedroom house. It's going to cost cost probably $700,000 to $800,000 just because of where it's located. I remember a condo in Crystal City that you can see the Capitol and the Washington Monument from the windows. That $900,000 just for a condo in Crystal City. Huntsville a lot cheaper. I don't know the actual prices in Huntsville because I haven't really been trying to move there or anything, or try to build or buy a house, but definitely cost of living's cheaper over there, and I think that's why a lot of people have moved from other places, Northern Virginia and others. And I see a lot of people transferring between Fort Belvoir and Redstone Arsenal in Huntsville. I've had people tell me they're being transferred to Redstone Arsenal, and I've heard people have come from Redstone Arsenal to being transferred to Fort Belvoir. And definitely, if you want more information on professional sports, this is definitely the area for it. They have a lot. They have a lot of various shows on TV and a couple of radio stations that are sports talk, and definitely talk a lot about the sports. I'm trying to remember what other similarities they have. Huntsville's quite a distance from the beach. You have to go. I think you have to go all the way down to Mobile, the bottom of the state. Here, if you want to go to the beach, you could either go 2 or 3 hours to Ocean City, or about 2 hours from here to Virginia Beach. Either of those two places. Trying to think of some other things which I really can't think of. I'm sure I will think of more after I get off of doing this. Like, subscribe, share, and I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And I want this to be a safe Christmas for people. If you must drink, do not drive. Don't turn this into a tragedy for some other family. I knew a family that did happen on December 23rd one time, and that's terrible. It's terrible to happen any time, but especially around Christmas. That's a very, very bad time to have something like that happen to you. Christmases from then on are not going to be, are not kind of, I guess, are going to kind of suck for you, I suppose. But I have enjoyed all of the people that are subscribing, and I'm getting more and more, and I want this to keep continuing, and I'm open to suggestions as to what you would like me to do, what subjects you would like me to discuss. I do history. It's about preserving history, and I will sometimes discuss obscure subjects, quite often actually, very obscure subjects. You can look at my various shows to see what I'm talking about. And as always, like, subscribe, share. Thanks for watching.